Questionnaires are often used as part of research studies to collect data from participants, but not every research question is suitable to the questionnaire as a method. A questionnaire only captures the information that the method itself allows and that the respondents are willing to provide, and so it is often used in combination with other techniques. Good day, I am Dr. Penny Adversario, and we are here to learn about the uses of a questionnaire, differentiate validity from reliability, know the importance of questionnaire validation, identify which questionnaires require validation, discuss the different types of validity, understand the process of translation, cross-cultural adaptation, and validation of a questionnaire, and discuss the different types of reliability. So we begin with the definition of terms. A questionnaire is a data collection tool that gathers quantitative and qualitative information from respondents through a series of questions or items on attributes, knowledge, opinions, attitudes, beliefs, behavior, and experiences. It is also used to measure constructs or latent variables such as self-esteem, motivation, or resilience. The information can vary from attitudes like attitudes on immunization and breastfeeding, beliefs about smoking in public or use of contraceptives, behaviors such as going for screening, prenatal care, going for vaccination, hand washing, exercise, knowledge about the disease, knowledge about health services, and attributes such as socio-demographic characteristics. A construct in a questionnaire denotes the concept or idea that the questionnaire aims to measure, such as self-esteem, anxiety, satisfaction, depression, and motivation. They cannot be immediately observed or directly measured like height or weight, but is intended to be quantified through questions which must be validated to ensure they really capture the construct. In this table, family functionality is the construct or the latent variable, which is measured using the FACES 3 tool, having one of its items as family members ask each other for help as the measurable indicator for family functionality. Other constructs include resilience, measured using the Nicholson-McBride Resilience Questionnaire, with this item on influence depictive of resilience, and self-efficacy, measured using the General Self-Efficacy Scale, with an item on confidence. With questionnaires, validity refers to the accuracy of a research tool or the degree to which a measurement or tool measures what it purports to measure. Internal validity is how accurately the measures obtained from the research was actually quantifying what it was designed to measure, while external validity is how accurately the measures obtained from the study sample describe the reference population from which the study sample was drawn. So, while internal validity focuses on methodological rigor within the study, external validity focuses on applicability or generalizability outside of the study. Reliability is synonymously termed as precision, repeatability, reproducibility. In the context of a questionnaire, reliability means that the questionnaire yields consistent responses when administered repeatedly under stable conditions, even by different researchers. It has three major aspects: equivalence across groups, stability of responses over time, and internal consistency between responses. Though reliability importantly contributes to the validity of a questionnaire, it is, however, not a sufficient condition for the validity of a questionnaire. To differentiate validity and reliability, we have the dartboard as an illustration whereby the true value is the bullseye, and the red dots on the periphery are the individual measurements or observations. The figure on the left represents data that is precise but not valid. For example, a faulty weighing scale that consistently shows weight that is 10 kilograms more than the true weight. The next figure illustrates data that is neither precise nor valid. For example, blood glucose levels taken at varying time points among individuals of varying age groups, disease status, and medication adherence. The figure on the right speaks of data that is both precise and valid. For example, a tool that consistently and accurately measures depression across times and cultures. So, questionnaire validation is a process of verifying that the questionnaire effectively assesses its intended construct or that the questionnaire measures what it claims to measure. It is important because validation enhances credibility, increases trust in research findings, especially in academic or professional settings. It facilitates comparison by allowing results to be reliably compared across different studies, population, or time periods. Before developing a questionnaire for a study, a researcher can check whether there are any pre-existing validated questionnaires that can be used for the study. The use of validated questionnaires saves time and resources needed to design a new one and allows comparability between studies. Certain aspects need to be kept in mind. Is the population or context or purpose for which the original questionnaire was designed similar to the new study? Is cross-cultural adaptation required? Is there any permission needed to use the questionnaire? If no appropriate tool exists, then one needs to develop or design the tool. And any new questionnaire needs to undergo validation and assessment for reliability. The process of developing an instrument involves the following steps. It starts with making a list of variables, collecting existing measures for the variable in books, review materials, electronic resources, or even calling or writing authors. Then a draft is composed, this draft is revised, and finally you have a shortened set of instruments for the study. This finally undergoes validation. If there is an existing tool but in a different language, it has to undergo linguistic validation and reliability. The process of linguistic validation is a different process in itself and will be dealt with in a separate section of this presentation. If the tool is pre-validated but used in a different setting or population, it has to undergo validation and reliability as well. The types of questionnaire that require validation are the following. Newly developed questionnaires. Second, adapted questionnaire which require modifying an existing tool. Modifying meaning translating it or changing the number of items or adapting it to a new population. And third, standardized tools used in a different context. So even if the tool is validated elsewhere, if you're using it in a different country, culture, or demographic group, this requires revalidation. Questionnaires that do not require validation are the following. If you're using a well-established, previously validated questionnaire on the same population and setting as the original, then you need not validate the tool. You can cite the original validation study, but it is required that you do your pre-testing to establish applicability. Second, demographic questions that elicit attributes such as age, gender, year level, or civil status. These are factual, objective questions and are not based on perception or opinion. Third, yes-no questions or close-ended factual questions. on observable behaviors, and they don't assess abstract constructs like stress, resilience, or self-esteem. So there are basically two major types of validity: theoretical and empirical. Theoretical construct is an abstract idea used to explain phenomena within a theory, whereas an empirical construct is a directly observable or measurable entity derived from data. There are two types of theoretical validity: face and content validity. What is face validity? It involves an individual looking at the items in the questionnaire and agreeing that the test is a valid measure of the concept which is being measured just on the face of it, or based on subjective judgment. It is reviewed by lay people or non-experts. It provides an initial indication of whether the tool is appropriate for its intended use. So this is a questionnaire measuring patient satisfaction with physical therapy. Just by looking at the tool, which contains domains related to the construct of patient satisfaction, such as on treatment, privacy, scheduling, cost and billing, waiting time, courtesy of the therapies and staff, we can definitely say it measures the concept of satisfaction with physical therapy. The second type of theoretical validity is content validity, which is the adequacy with which important content has been covered and transformed into questions. It reflects the completeness of representation of the components of the required measure. The steps involve collecting data from content experts to establish that individual survey items are relevant to the construct being measured. Before selecting a panel of experts to evaluate the content of a new questionnaire, specific criteria should be developed to determine who qualifies as an expert. These criteria are often based on experience or knowledge of the construct being measured, but are also dependent on the willingness and availability of the individuals being asked to participate. A panel of 6 to 10 experts is recommended, although having more experts, meaning up to 20, can generate a clearer consensus about the construct being assessed. Relevance refers to the extent each item actually relates to specific aspects of the construct. Once a panel of experts has been identified, a content validation form can be created that defines the construct and gives experts the opportunity to provide feedback on any or all of the aforementioned topics. In addition, experts are provided with an opportunity to provide free text comments. The tool being evaluated in this example is the Anatomy Education Environment, consisting of 11 domains and 129 items. The evaluation form contains each item or question from the tool and a rating scale beside each item, with 1 as not relevant to the measured domain and 4 as highly relevant to the measured domain. Experts rate the relevance of each item using the rating scale. Other dimensions can include readability, clarity, comprehensiveness, and representativeness. They come to some level of agreement as to which item should be included in the final questionnaire. This particular evaluation assesses item relevance only. The experts are encouraged to provide verbal comment or written comment to improve the relevance of items to the targeted domain. Indices are computed as a measure for item relevance, such as the Item Level Content Validity Index, or the ICVI, and the Scale Level Content Validity Index based on the average method, which is the SCVI average, or Universal Agreement Method, which is the SCVI universal average. The definition of each index is included in the slide with the following formula. So prior to the calculation of the content validity index, the relevance rating must be coded as 1 for a relevance scale of 3 or 4, or 0 for a relevance scale of 1 or 2. ICVI, or Item Level Content Validity Index, is the proportion of content experts giving the item a relevance rating of 3 or 4, which is coded as 1. In this example, 9 out of 10 experts are in agreement in giving a rating of 1. So the ICVI for question 2 is 9 out of 10, or 0.9. The next index is the SCVI average, which is the sum of the ICVI scores divided by the number of items, which in this example is 10.9 divided by 12, which is equivalent to 0.91. The SCVI universal average is the proportion of items on the scale that achieve a relevance scale of 3 or 4 by all experts. The universal agreement score is given as 1 when the item achieved 100% experts in agreement. Otherwise, universal average score is given as 0. Question 2 gets a universal average of 0 because not all experts are in agreement. When you add up all the universal average score, this totals to 10 out of 12 items, or equal to 0.83. So this is the SCVI universal average score. Another measure for SCVI average is the proportion relevance rating over the number of experts, which is obtained by getting the sum of the proportion relevance ratings divided by the number of experts. The proportion relevant is the number of items deemed relevant by an individual expert divided by the total number of items, which in this example for expert 1 is 11 out of 12, equivalent to 0.92. Summing all the proportion relevance ratings divided by the number of experts gives us 0.91, which is similar to getting the scale level content validity index using the average of ICVI scores. It is proposed that an SCVI average of more than or equal to 0.78 as a significant level for inclusion of an item into the study. Under empiric validity, there are two major types, criterion and construct validity. Construct validity is the most difficult and the most valuable measure of validity. It is whether the results of the tool are in accord with present theories concerning the area of research. It is also the degree to which an instrument measures the trait that it is intended to measure, and also a measure of how meaningful the scale or instrument is when it is in practical use. There are 4 subtypes: convergence, discriminant, known group, and factorial. Convergence demonstrates that different measures of the same construct are highly correlated and yield similar results. For example, in validating a new depression tool, its scores are tested if it aligns strongly with established pre-existing depression scales. If they are highly correlated with each other, then it confirms they measure the same phenomenon. Another example, with regards to health behavior, hygiene practices through self-reports of the mother related to diarrhea, such as cleaning the child, disposal of feces, or feeding practices, which is validated with the actual observation and checklist by the study staff. Discriminant validity measures the difference of one concept from other closely related concepts. It is a degree to which the instrument does not correlate with measures of different constructs. For example, you conduct a new survey to measure self-esteem. To prove it has discriminant validity, you will compare it against a survey for narcissism. Even though both involve feeling good about oneself, they are distinct concepts. If your self-esteem scores and the narcissism scores have a low or weak correlation, you have discriminant validity. It proves your survey is catching healthy self-worth and not just inflated ego. Known group validity involves administering the tool to two or more groups that are known to differ on the construct being measured, and then examining whether the tool can effectively discriminate between these groups. In a survey that used a questionnaire to explore depression among two groups of patients, one with a clinical diagnosis of depression and the other without, it is expected that the construct of depression in the questionnaire among those clinically diagnosed with depression, the scores will be higher than those without the diagnosis. And lastly, factor analysis is used to identify underlying factors or patterns related to the construct by potentially reducing the complexity of a large data set into more manageable domains of the construct. It seeks to determine a common set of underlying dimensions or factors that produce the variables, and to what extent each variable is explained by each dimension. As such, it is referred to also as a data reduction technique. For example, from a large unrelated set of items or questions on diabetes, factor analysis groups them into domains or dimensions, labeled as risk factors for diabetes, treatment outcomes of diabetes, or quality of life among diabetics. To expound more on factor analysis, the primary purpose is to define the underlying structure in a data matrix. It addresses the problem of analyzing the structure of the interrelationships among a large number of variables, be they test scores, test items, questionnaire responses, by defining a set of common underlying dimensions known as factors. For example, a retail firm has identified 80 different characteristics of retail stores and their services that affect why consumers patronize these stores. It cannot evaluate 80 separate characteristics or develop action plans for these many variables as they are too specific. What factor analysis does is to transform these specific items into general dimensions, and then these dimensions become composites of the specific variables. Example, which of these characteristics fall under product assortment, under product quality, price, store personnel, service, store atmosphere? These are now the domains or dimensions which can be used by the company for planning and evaluation. There are two subtypes of factor analysis. Exploratory aims to identify the underlying factors, and confirmatory tests which variables should be grouped together on a factor and to test the number of underlying factors. As an example, we have 9 items or questions on knowledge about HIV/AIDS transmission. A respondent was asked to rate the risk involved in each of the 9 activities, coded as 1 for no risk and 5 as very great risk. From the scale responses, three factors or dimensions were derived by extraction and rotation techniques of exploratory factor analysis. Variables A105 and A106 represent factor 1, with factor loadings highest on these two items. Variables A107 to 109 represent factor 2, and variables A112 and A113 represent factor 3. Factor 1 is named a sexual form of transmission, representative of the items on shaking hands and kissing. Factor 2 is the sexual form, representative of items on sexual intercourse. And factor 3 is the IV drug use, representative of the items on IV drug use. This is in essence exploratory factor analysis. The next type of empirical construct validity is criterion validity. It is used to determine the relationship of scores on a test to a specific criterion. It is a measure of how well the questionnaire findings stack up against another instrument or predictor. It has two variants, concurrence and predictive. Concurrent validity assesses the newly developed questionnaire against a highly rated existing gold standard. The criterion or gold standard exists at the same time as the newly developed questionnaire. For example, the researcher may use a questionnaire to elucidate diabetic patients' adherence to medications and their compliance to blood glucose monitoring and compares this response to laboratory reading of blood glucose at the same time. Or an abbreviated version of a quality of life assessment tool to be compared with the expanded version to determine how well the two are correlated. Predictive validity is the ability of the questionnaire or instrument to forecast future events, behavior, attitudes, or outcomes. The criterion or gold standard exists at some future time. A good example of predictive validity is the use of hypertensive patients' questionnaire on medication adherence to predict their future medical outcome, such as systolic blood pressure control. Correlation between the tool and the criterion is measured using correlation coefficient. This slide illustrates the entire process of translation, cross-cultural adaptation, and validation, which involves 8 steps. The process begins with obtaining permission from the authors of the instrument or by the publisher who holds the copyright to the tool. The decision which instrument to adopt cross-culturally should also be based on checking that no version of the instrument exists for the target population. The aim in translation is to make sure that the translated version conveys the message of the original as closely as possible, conceptual rather than word-for-word equivalence. The first step, which is forward translation, involves translating from the source language, which is the language of the original version, to the target language, the language into which the adaptation is intended. Example, English as the source language to Tagalog as the target language by at least two independent translators who are both knowledgeable bilinguals and familiar with the construct of the instrument. The translated versions are then reconciled by a panel consisting of the investigator, the translators, and an independent native speaker not involved in the forward translation. The reconciled version is then back translated to the source language by similarly knowledgeable bilinguals who do not have access to the original instrument nor informed about its construct. Harmonization is achieved by comparing the back translated version with the original to resolve discrepancies. This includes translators, linguists, psychometricians, members of the research team, and also members of the target population. The harmonized version then undergoes pretesting. In this step, researchers assess the suitability of the instrument before it is used in field testing. This entails two main processes. The first step is interview with cognitive debriefing. It comprises a set of questions that are addressed individually to a set of participants after they have answered the instrument. It is assessed qualitatively using think aloud and verbal probing methods. Think aloud technique requires respondents to verbalize every thought that they have while answering each item. Here, the interviewer simply supports this activity by encouraging the respondent to keep talking and to record what is said for later analysis. In verbal probing, the interviewer administers a series of probe questions designed to elicit specific information. Verbal probing asks the respondent what a particular term means, restating the question in his own, how one arrived at that answer, suggestions to improve the wording in relation to the items marked as unclear, words not understood, and expressions considered unacceptable or offensive. Results from cognitive interviews can be helpful in identifying mistakes respondents make in their interpretation of the item or response option. The second pretest uses an expert panel to critically evaluate the measurement instrument on item relevance using a 4-point Likert scale. Based on the results of the pretest, researchers can consider revising these items accordingly. The degree of agreement between raters can be statistically computed using ICVI and SCVI average or the kappa coefficient of concordance for categorical data. Field testing involves preparing the pre-final version of the measurement instrument for data collection in the target population. The preparation of the instrument may include some decisions, namely, reversing the response formats of items that were negatively phrased, and calculating a minimum sample size for psychometric validation. Psychometric validation is the metric or empirical validation of a measurement instrument. To be considered valid, an instrument needs to produce the same results under the same conditions. This validation comprises performing an exploratory factor analysis, analyzing the internal consistency, and performing a confirmatory factor analysis. These procedures require researchers to have knowledge of statistical data processing and to use specific softwares. Exploratory factor analysis groups the items of the measurement instrument into factors or dimensions based on their correlations. Once the factor structure of the measurement instrument is obtained, researchers analyze its internal consistency, which indicates the degree of repeatability of its results. The most common method for assessing internal consistency is through the Cronbach's alpha, which measures the degree of correlation between items. The hypothesized factor structure derived from exploratory factor analysis are further evaluated by confirmatory factor analysis to analyze its feasibility. The psychometric properties of measurement instruments correspond to a set of evidences produced by researchers during the process of translation, adaptation, and cross-cultural validation. This analysis should focus on at least three psychometric properties: content validity, construct validity, and internal consistency. We now go to reliability. It is the extent to which a questionnaire, test, observation, or any measurement procedure produces the same results on repeated trials. Lack of reliability may result from instability of the attribute being measured, such as biological gradients, so standardize the conditions under which measurements are made. Lack of reliability may arise from the use of a defective instrument or scale of measurement, such that instruments should be calibrated frequently. Differences within and between observers can be addressed by having dual measurements or observations and training of observers and interviewers to eliminate inter-individual variation. Reliability could be assessed in three major forms: test-retest reliability for stability, alternate form reliability for equivalence, and internal consistency for homogeneity. Test-retest reliability provides an indication of stability of responses over time. Stability is assessed through a test-retest procedure that involves administering the same measurement instrument to the same individuals under the same conditions after some period of time. It is estimated with correlations between the scores at time 1 and at time 2 via a correlation coefficient R. Values are considered good if the correlation coefficient is more than or equal to 0.70. In test-retest procedure, it is assumed that the characteristic of interest does not change over time. There are certain variables which are likely to change over a short period of time, such as energy, happiness, and anxiety. Because of maturation effects, the researcher has to make sure that test-retest is done over very short periods of time. It is also assumed that the time period is long enough, yet short in time, that the respondents' memories of taking the test at time 1 does not influence their scores at time 2 and subsequent test administrations. The potential problem is practice effect, is in that the individual becomes familiar with the items and simply answers based on their memory of the last answer. Alternate form reliability is the amount of agreement between two or more research instruments that are administered at nearly the same point in time. It is measured through a parallel form procedure in which one administers alternative forms of the same measure to either the same group or different groups of respondents. It uses differently worded questionnaires to measure the same attribute or construct, such that questions or respondents are reworded or their order is changed to produce two items that are similar but not identical. This administration of the various forms occurs at the same time or following some time delay. The higher the degree of correlation between the two forms, the more equivalent they are. Another situation in which equivalence will be important is when the measurement process entails subjective judgments or ratings being made by more than one person. This is assessed by inter-observer reliability, which refers to the consistency with which observers or raters make judgments. A statistical technique to measure agreement between raters on categorical data is the kappa coefficient of agreement. It is an index which compares the agreement against that which might be expected by chance. The ratings can be dichotomous as yes, no, qualitative ordinal as low, medium, and high, and nominal such as schiz, bipolar, or major depression. The kappa coefficient equals 1 when there is complete agreement between raters. The value of the kappa coefficient of agreement ranges from 0 to 1, with values 0.8 to 1 reflecting very good agreement and less than 0.2 indicating poor agreement. Internal consistency or homogeneity is the extent to which items on the test or instrument are measuring the same thing. It is applied not to one item, but to groups of items that are thought to measure different aspects of the same concept. It is estimated after only one test administration and therefore avoids the problem associated with testing over multiple time periods. It is estimated via split half reliability index, coefficient alpha index, and the Kuder-Richardson Formula 20 index. Split half reliability index entails dividing the test into two parts, odd-even items, or first half, second half of the items, and administering the two forms or separate versions of the scale to the same groups of individuals and correlating the responses. Coefficient alpha measures the internal consistency among a group of items combined to form a single scale. The items can have several response options from strongly disagree to strongly agree. An acceptable alpha coefficient value is more than or equal to 0.70. As a rule of thumb, the higher the coefficient alpha, the more reliable the measure. Lower values indicate that some of the individual items may be measuring different constructs or dimensions. Reliability values increase as test length increases. That is, the more items we have in our scale to measure the construct of interest, the more reliable our scale will become. But the problem with increasing the number of items is overburdening the respondents. The best approach is to develop a complete but brief scale. Conditions that would affect Cronbach alpha values are the following. The number of items, scale of less than 10 variables, could cause Cronbach alpha to be low. Normality increases Cronbach alpha value, while skewed data reduces it. Cronbach alpha does not indicate the stability or consistency of the test over time. Negatively worded questionnaires should be reversed before scoring. The assessment of patient satisfaction with physical therapy, as shown in the previous slides, showed an overall Cronbach's alpha value of 0.98, indicating that the tool measures satisfaction with enough precision. If the items are dichotomously coded, as in knowledge, then the measure for reliability is the Kuder-Richardson 20 coefficient. These are sample guidelines at each phase of the validation process. For content validation, you need about 5 to 10 experts. For cognitive debriefing, usually 10 to 30 and 5 to 6 for small scale. For pilot testing, you need about 30 to 50, which is small scale. And for full validation study, about more than 100 participants is a very good criterion. Minimum requirements when you adopt a questionnaire. For ICVI, more than or equal to 0.78. SCVI average, more than or equal to 0.90. Kappa coefficient, more than or equal to 0.60. A comprehension index of 80%. Cronbach's alpha of more than or equal to 0.70, as well as test-retest reliability, sensitivity, and specificity of 90%. Thank you for listening, and these are my references.